Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. Today's video, I'm going to finally be addressing the question that I get asked so much, so often, literally get this question all the time, and that is how to afford to travel, how I afforded to travel, how to travel financially, essentially. That is what we're going over today. So I have some notes here, and there's a lot of different things that I want to talk about. But before we get into all of that, I just want to say that I am completely aware and I acknowledge the fact that traveling is definitely a privilege and not everybody has the means to be able to do it. And I totally understand that some people just, like financially just cannot do it at all. And I am so grateful that I am privileged enough to be able to travel and see the world. But with that being said, I also want to point out that traveling is definitely not just for rich, famous people or YouTubers or Instagrammers. Traveling is definitely something that the average person, so to say, can do if they make it a priority. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I don't want to come off as being ignorant or naive or, like everybody can travel, you just have to, work hard and save your money, because I understand that obviously in certain situations that is not the case for everybody. So anyways, let's get into the video. Okay, so I have three major kind of tips that I want to go over, and the first one, how to save your money. My first tip, my number one tip really, and I know this is gonna come kind of a shocker, hold on to the edge of your seats, guys, because you're not ready for this. And it is to save your money. I know, it sounds so simple, and it is. Okay, so I totally understand people have bills to pay and things, but if you're able to, like let's say you go out to Starbucks a couple times a week with your friends, or you get coffee every day, or you go out and you go to Taco Bell or go out to dinner. I don't know, you do things, you like go to the movies, or these are all things that you're choosing to spend your money on and you're making a priority. Where if you made travel a priority, you could easily, say no to a few of these things and instead take the money you would have spent and put it in your savings. A lot of people are definitely able to do that, or you can just kind of figure out what your expenses are and what your budget is, and then figure out what percentage of like your paycheck or whatever you can afford to put into a savings account, and it all eventually adds up, whether it takes you 1 year, whether it takes you 5 years to save up. It totally depends, but that's definitely that's what the majority of people who travel do. They have made traveling a priority to them, and they've found that they want to travel so bad that they're going to do whatever they can do to allow themselves to do that. And that is what I did. So I'm from California and I'm in Australia right now, and I've been living abroad for over a year now. So I used to live in New Zealand and now I live in Australia. And I left like half a year after I graduated, and I bought a one-way ticket, and my family, my parents, my family, nobody ever gave me a dime. I spent all my own money. I saved from working at a vegan burger place, and I only worked there for like a little bit under a year, and I only worked there part-time. And obviously I was fortunate enough, I still lived at home, so I didn't have to pay bills. I just kind of paid for some of my food, and I paid for my gas for my car. So I was fortunate that I was financially, still dependent on my parents for a lot of things, and I was able to save money that way. And I did have a YouTube channel, but obviously I'm not a huge YouTube channel. I don't make like a lot of money off of YouTube or anything, but I was able to take the earnings from there and basically put it into my savings. So that did help a lot. If I didn't have that, I might have just had to save a little bit longer, but eventually I would have saved the same amount. That is my number one tip, is to literally just save your money. And if you make traveling a priority, then if Starbucks is more of a priority than traveling, then you're probably not going to save enough money to go traveling. It all totally depends. If it's something you truly, truly want to do and you can find a way to do it, then you will do it. So that is what I have to say about that. So moving on to the second tip, kind of goes in here. When I left to travel, I had a set amount of money that I had saved, and basically I was going to travel until that money ran out and then just go home. So I kind of figured it would last me about 3 months and then I'd run out of money. But then I discovered that you could actually get a working holiday visa, and you can work in other countries on this visa. And so that's my second tip, is you can work abroad, and there's a lot of logistics that go into this. I actually made another video quite recently regarding all of the visas and logistical, I don't know if that's a word, logistical things and technical things for traveling and visas and all that. So that video has a lot more information on this. But every country is different. But for New Zealand and Australia, they offer working holiday visas to a lot of different countries, and you do have to pay an application fee, but these visas allow you to live and work legally in these countries for 12 months, so a year. So if you decide to travel, like you want to travel to Australia, you'll obviously need some money for when you first get there. You could save some of your money, and then when you get there, you can try to find a job and you could actually work and live there, and then, you know, go traveling on the weekends or take like a week off and go traveling. So this allows you to work abroad, which is a really great way, because then that way you're making money while you're traveling and living somewhere else. I also definitely recommend this because it's so interesting to experience living in a totally different country, somewhere you've never been before, with a different culture, and you kind of become a local because you're working there and living there, and you get to see what it's like to actually live there rather than like doing like the touristy things and just stopping by for like a few nights and then moving on. So I definitely recommend this, and yeah, you should definitely look it up and check it out, but it's a great way to make money while you're traveling. So my third tip is to work online, and there are definitely a lot of opportunities nowadays with the internet and everything to work online. So there's like social media marketing, web and app developers. These things usually require like a degree or something. So if you're interested, if you're like going to college and you don't know what to study, those are definitely great options, because a lot of those jobs allow you to just work from your computer, and you can have a digital nomad job where you can basically work from anywhere in the world as long as you have access to internet. And then of course other jobs is like blogging, YouTubing, Instagramming, things like that, which of course you kind of have to like build a platform before you can actually start making money off of those things. But if you start those while you're traveling, eventually they can build up, and if you really work towards them, then they could give you some income. So those are definitely great options to be able to work while traveling. Okay, so I have a few more tips just on how to save money, and just kind of through my experience. One of these tips is to travel with friends or family or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. This way you can split everything half and half, or you can split it 3 or 4 ways depending on how many people you have with you, and this saves so much money. So let's say, you know, you want to rent an Airbnb, instead of just paying one fee for yourself, you get to split that fee with so many other people, or like renting a car, you can split things. This honestly saves so much money, because I'm traveling with my boyfriend and it's great when we just split everything in half. It cuts down the prices immensely. But yeah, if you can, this is definitely a great way to save money. Another thing is to try not to pay for all the touristy things. I mean, if you want to do something, like there's something you've always wanted to do, if there's something you've always wanted to do and dreamed of doing, then go ahead and pay for that. But I mean, in terms of like getting a tour guide to show you around, instead you could take a little bit more time and a little bit more effort to kind of plan it yourself and sort of be your own tour guide and just go exploring on your own. And instead of going with a group, you can just go on your own or with a friend and go exploring and see things that aren't like the main tourist things, but a lot of times you'll find things that are much cooler than there's nobody there, and it's like your own special little world. You've discovered something in this other part of the world that you wouldn't normally have, because you're just on a tour. They're just going to show you like the main attractions. For example, when my boyfriend first went to Australia, him and his friend just had a travel planner plan their entire trip, and it was basically, they were just on a bus the whole time and just got off on different stops and had them, and like it just was like an all-inclusive fee and paid for their things. But they probably could have saved a lot more money if they had just planned it themselves. And my boyfriend also said the bus was terrible. He was with these people the whole time on this bus that he didn't know. It was like really hot in the bus, so he said he definitely would have done it a lot differently. So instead of getting a travel planner, just take a little bit more effort, take a little bit more time to really plan it out yourself, and then you can and obviously they're going to take fees out of you for charging you for using their service as a travel planner. So if you do it yourself, you're going to save yourself money on that as well. Another thing is like finding cheap flights. I don't know, I'm not like an expert on this, but if you book in advance, the flights are usually cheaper. And then if you don't book like on a Friday or Saturday, usually like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays are cheaper. So look for flights during those times, and especially like not around holidays, because those are always really expensive. And then another thing is to try to travel on like the off season. So if you go in the middle of the summer to like a tropical place, it's going to be packed with tourists. A lot of the prices are going to be higher. You're not going to have as good of a time because there's going to be so many crowds, so many people. Everything's more expensive. Or if you go like a few months after that or a few months before that season, you'll probably save money and you will not be in like a lot of crowds and stuff. And then one more thing is, I lived in a van for 3 months in New Zealand, and my boyfriend and I bought our van and then we sold it for the same price, whereas a lot of people rented vans. And this is only for people who are like interested in like doing the whole van life thing somewhere else, which Australia and New Zealand are really good places to do that, also America is as well. But if you're planning on doing it for, I would say, more than 2 months, instead of renting a van, definitely try to find one and buy one. Yeah, if there's like any mechanical problems, you will have to pay for that, whereas if you're renting a van, insurance will cover it, or like the company will cover it. If you rent a van, you're not going to get any of that money back, whereas if you buy a van, you can always sell it for either the same price or sometimes even more. Like that's what my boyfriend and I did. And if we had rented a van, it would have been so expensive. I can't even imagine how much it would have cost, and we wouldn't have gotten any of that money back. So that's something to think about if you're planning on doing a van life thing for like a longer period of time. Okay, so that is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it answered some of your questions or gave you a better insight into how to afford to travel, and I hope it helped you guys. If you want any more questions on kind of like travel questions or travel videos or whatever, definitely leave those down below. Tell me what you want to see or any other videos you want to see me make, and I will look into that. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.
I feel real good. I feel real good. The Chevy still push through the Southside hood. They can't touch me, man, I wish they would.